So you've already learned how to solve quadratic equations by graphing them, by seeing where your graphs touch the x-axis. And then you've also learned how to solve them by factoring. And today you'll learn a little about the quadratic formula. And so we'll start out by talking about the discriminant. We're not going to do the whole quadratic formula today. We'll do that tomorrow, but we're just practicing with the discriminant. So like this says here, so the solutions of your quadratic equation in your form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 are given by your quadratic formula. And so this formula will always be given to you. It's not like you have to memorize it. I know you're not taking an SFL test this year, but it would be on your formula sheet for that. So it'd be given to you. It's not like you have to remember it or anything. So it's this whole big complicated thing here. So you have this whole formula here. So whatever you get when you evaluate here would be your solutions or the roots, and which would be where it crosses your x-axis. And so you always need to make sure all your terms are on the same side, that we have 0 on the other. And it's saying a can't be equal to 0, because if a were 0, you wouldn't have an x squared term, and then it would just be linear, because it'd be like mx plus b, kind of like y equals mx plus b. So, and then you couldn't use this at all. So the discriminant is the part that's under your square root, the radical symbol here. So, because your discriminant is the part, it's the name for the part under your square root, which is b squared minus 4ac. So that's all we're doing. So once you get all your terms on the same side, you'll figure out your a, b, and c, and then you're just subbing them in here. And then if the value that you get for your discriminant when you do b squared minus 4ac is positive, that means you'll have 2 real roots, which means your quadratic would touch your x-axis twice then. And then if you get 0 under the square root symbol for your discriminant, then you'll have 1 real root. That's called a double root, when it touches and comes right back up, because you only have one solution there. And if you get a negative, you wouldn't have any roots, because it'd be the square root of a negative number, which nothing squared will give you a negative there. So that's why it'd be no roots there. So if that's what you got, then it would not even touch your x-axis at all. But we'll just do the b squared minus 4ac and then figure out what kind of value you get there. So when you start these, you want to make sure everything's on the same side. So for this first one here, this all is on the same side, because you have 2x squared plus 10x plus 11. So this is asking you to find the value of your discriminant. So you'll need to figure out what your a, b, and c would be first. So your a will be the coefficient of your x squared term. So here, your a will be the coefficient of your x squared terms. Here, a will be 2 then. And then b is the coefficient of your x term. So here that'd be 10 then. Here b will be 10. And then your c will be your constant there, which would be 11. And then you're just subbing them in next. So you're doing b squared minus 4ac. So your b here is 10, so you can sub that in. So it'd be 10 squared to start. And then minus 4, and then times your a value, which is 2 here. And then times your c value, which is 11. And then you can type this thing in your calculator, or you can work out each individual part if you want. But if you square the 10, then you'll get 100. Then you can multiply the 4 times the 2 times the 11, which would be 88. And then you can just subtract these in the end to get your discriminant value. So if you subtract these, you'll get 12 for the discriminant to start. And then, so we found the value of your discriminant here, and then we're saying how many real roots you'd have for your equation. So because you got 12, so this is a positive number, so that means you'll have 2 real roots. You can write that then. So you'll have 2 roots then for this one. And tomorrow you'll learn how to actually figure out what they would be, like where it would cross your x-axis. But we're just doing this part for today, so it's not too much. So that means since this is 2 roots, that means it will cross in 2 places here, like for your x-axis, it'd be something like that there. And then for your next one, so remember, you want to make sure all your terms are on the same side, that you have 0 on the other. So you should add your 2 first here then. So we're adding 2. So you'll have 3m squared plus 4m plus 2 then equals 0. And then you'll figure out the a, b, and c before you sub them. So remember, the a is the coefficient of your x squared term, which is the m here. You have m's instead, but your a will still be 3. And then your b is the coefficient of your x term, which here will be 4. And then c is the term by itself there, the 2, the constant. And then now that you figured out your a, b, and c, you can just sub them in to find your discriminants. Remember, it's b squared minus 4ac there. So you'll sub your b in first. So the b we got was 4 here. So you'll have 4 squared. So 4 squared minus, and then in your formula, so it's 4 times a times c. So 4 times, and then our a we got was 3 here. And then your c was 2. And then you can evaluate here or type it in. So 4 squared, 4 times 4, so that would give you 16. And then you can multiply. And then you can multiply 4 times 3 times 2 when you evaluate there. So that'd be 12 times 2, so that'd be 24 then. And then you can subtract these. So 16 minus 24, so that'd be negative 8 for your discriminant value. And then, so because you have a negative value for your discriminants, that means you have 0 roots there. That means that it wouldn't cross at all. That means it would look something like this if you were to graph it. So that's a weird looking parabola, but it will come right back up. It wouldn't cross your x-axis at all. And then for your next one here, so remember you want to make sure all your terms are on the same side first. So you'll cancel out the 20t here. So since it's positive, you'll have to subtract it to start. And then you can, I'm just going to rewrite this to make it easier. Okay, 4t squared, and then it'll be minus 20t because we're writing this like in your regular form. And then plus 25 equals 0. And then you can label your a, b, and c. So a is the coefficient of your x squared term. So here that'd be 4. So a will be 4 then. And then your b is the coefficient of your just x terms. That'd be negative 20. And then your c will be the constant, which is 25 then. I was just going to write this here. So this is what you're subbing them into next here. So we're subbing our b in first. So your b here is negative 20. So it's a negative you're squaring, so I'll put it in parentheses. So negative 20 squared for the b squared there. And then minus 4 times your a, which is 4. And then times your c, which is 25. And then you can evaluate here. So if you square the negative 20, so negative 20 times negative 20 be positive 400. And then you can multiply these 3 together here. So that'd be 16 times 25. So if you multiply those, you'll get 400 here. So then you can just subtract the 400 minus 400. So then you'll get 0 for your discriminant then. So since you got 0 for your discriminant, so if you look here at your table, so this means you'll have 1 root then. So since you got 0 for the discriminant, you'll have 1 root. That means like if you were to graph it, once it touches here, it will come right back up because it would look something like that. And you'll just have 1 root. And then for your next one here, you want to make sure all your terms are on the same side. So you should cancel your negative 6 there. That way they are on the same side together. So you can add the 6 then. So you'll have negative m squared minus 5m plus 6 equals 0. And then you'll figure out the a, b, and c before you can sub them in here next. So your a is the coefficient of your x squared term. So, which here you have m. So your a will be negative 1 because that's what's in front of your m squared there. And then your b is the coefficient of the x term, so negative 5. And then c is your constant, the number by itself. So here it'll be 6. And then you can sub them in after. So remember, so you'll have, so it's b squared minus 4ac. So your b will go in first there. So your b here that we got was negative 5. So it'd be negative 5 squared then, just first. So it's a negative, so I'll just make sure it's in parentheses. And then minus 4 times your a, which we got was negative 1. I'll put it in parentheses to make it easier here. And then times your c, which is 6. And then, so if you square the negative 5, so negative 5 times negative 5, so that'd be positive 25 then. And then you've already taken care, this minus is still here, but then you can do 4 times negative 1 times this 6. So it'd be negative 24 then. Or you could just do 25 plus 24, either way. So either way, here you'll get 49 for the discriminant then. And then you can refer back to the chart if you want, but so you got a positive number here, so that means you'll have 2 roots. So your discriminant value is 49, and then you'll have 2 roots there since you got a positive 49. And like I said, tomorrow you'll learn how to figure out what the roots are, but you're just learning this part today. And then for your next one here, so you want all your terms on the same side, you could cancel the 8s and the 16 here, or the s squared. It doesn't really matter. I'll just do the s squared here, just so you have only one thing to cancel instead of 2. So if you do the s squared, you'll have to subtract it then to cancel it out. So you can subtract s squared if that's the one you want to cancel out then. And I'll just put it in front, because since it's your like x squared term, we'll hear their s's. And then you have positive 8s. And then your plus 16 equals 0. And then, so now that all your terms are on the same side, you can figure out your a, b, and c. So your a is the coefficient of your x squared terms. Here it's negative 1. And then your b will be the coefficient of your x term, so 8. And then your c will be 16. And then you can sub them in. So it's b squared minus 4ac. So your b here is 8. There's another color. Okay, so b squared. So 8 squared minus 4 times your a times the c. So your a is negative 1. And then your c is 16. So 8 squared, so 8 times 8, so that'd be 64. And I'll bring down the minus here. And then you can do 4 times negative 1 times the 16. So if you do that there, then you'll get negative 64. Or it could also be 64 plus 64 either way. But so here, 64 minus negative 64, so that'd be 128 for your discriminant then. So since you got a positive, so there will be 2 roots then. And then for your last one there, so all your terms all your terms are on the same side there. So you can go ahead and label them as A, B, and C. So your A is the code here for your x squared terms. Here we have Z. So here will be 2 for your A. And then B is the coefficient of your x term, so 1. And then your C will be 50. And then you can sum them. So it'll be your B that's gone in first. So B squared. So your B is 1. So 1 squared minus 4 times the A times the C. So your A here's 2. And then your C is 50. And then, so if you square the 1, so that would give you 1 then. And then you can multiply these 3. So 4 times 2 would be 8, and then 8 times 50 would be 400. So you can subtract these next. So 1 minus 400 would be negative 399 then. So that'd be the value of your discriminant, and then you can look back up here if you don't remember, but we got a negative there, so that means you'd have 0 roots. So it means it would look something kind of like this, like it wouldn't touch at all. So it'd be 0 roots there. And then, like I said, so tomorrow you'll learn how to figure out what the roots would be. This is just learning how many roots you have before you do the extra work. If you need help on what you're doing today, just be sure to let me know though.